Welcome back to Auto Technic, and today we are overhauling, not underhauling if that's even a thing, the fuel system in my 72 Chevelle.
Trevor, so we got your car running, although it's
we
not running that great, and it started to foul out the spark plugs. And before we even got it fired up, the spark plugs are fouled out, right?
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
bummer.
I think it's time that we probably now dig in and take this carburetor off, take it apart, get it rebuilt, and we're going to start working through each system of the car individually to make this thing run and drive reliably, okay?
Okay.
So, in order to get started, you need to start yarding off that air cleaner lid because we got to get this carburetor off the car.
Okay, like this? Just
Yep.
screw it off?
Yep.
Ugh.
So now that you have that off, I'll take those. You're gonna have to disconnect that vacuum line. Just pull that vacuum line off. Yep, and then you can lift this whole thing up. That pipe is gonna come out. That's okay. And then there's, see that other hose? Hold on, right there.
Down?
Yep, pull that out. Pull the metal part out. The rubber stays in the air filter lid. There you go. And there's one more vacuum hose right here. We have to take off. All right, now in order to get the carburetor off, we have these linkages that we have to take off. Also the throttle, the kick down. We'll need to disconnect the fuel line, this vacuum hose. So we need to get all that stuff off. Now, if you look carefully, it's really hard to see. Do you see there's a really small clip right here? Get up close. You have to get close. See that little clip?
Yeah.
So it's like they call it an E-clip. And you can just kind of go ahead and see how I popped that off?
Yeah.
Now, see that clip?
Mm-hmm.
Now this linkage can come off.
Okay.
We need to do that. I think there's another one on the other side. We don't want to lose these though.
Okay.
Okay, so you got to be real careful when you pry them off. So, and spin around to this side. And yep, see that down there?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really big one. So you can see there's a gap. You just go ahead and gently pry that clip off, okay?
Alright.
Watch out with your, be careful, don't, let me see where you're at. So don't go on the open part, go up there. And then be careful with your other finger because you don't want to poke it with your pick. That slides off the shaft towards me.
Okay.
Okay? And then you can slide this off. And this is the kick down for the transmission.
Okay.
Do you know what that does?
No. What does it do?
When you're driving and say you're in third gear and you need to pass somebody and you open the throttle a lot, accelerate,
Yeah.
this will tell the transmission to shift out of third gear down into second gear so you can pass somebody.
Alright.
All right? So the throttle linkage we can just snap off like that.
Alright.
Okay? And those springs, just pop them off. Just pull them.
Am I pulling the right way?
You push. There you go. Yep. Get those springs off. I got to grab more tools. Got them off?
Yeah.
Okay. Electrical connector. Just pull straight back. There you go. Cool. Now we have a vacuum hose right here. See this hose? And it comes into the carburetor on this side.
Yep.
So pull that off. You don't need that pick. Now the vacuum hoses kind of get stuck on there with time, the rubber. It's hard, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, so here's a trick. You can take these pliers and you twist the hose like this.
Okay.
Now try pulling it.
There you go.
Works pretty good, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So the hose with heat, the heat cycles and time, the hose gets stuck onto the metal, and by twisting it side to side, it makes it real easy to slide off. This is your fuel line coming into the carburetor.
Okay.
This is a spring fuel clamp. So you use pliers like this to release them and move them. And this is going to be like the fuel hose or the vacuum hose. We're going to take it and give it a twist.
Okay.
And some fuel will come out. Maybe not. And we're going to be replacing this anyways. So let's just get this out of our way right now. Now, do you know what this clear piece is right here?
The fuel goes in there? To like
Fuel does go in there. You know what this is?
Like a cleaner filter?
Filter. Yep, that's your fuel filter.
Okay.
So you can see that there's actually dark junk in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to put a whole new one in.
Okay.
All right. What else is holding on or hooked up to the carburetor? Do you see anything?
Looks like there's some bolts holding it down.
There is. Yes, there is. There is. That vacuum hose just stays in the carburetor. There's another vacuum hose over here. So you spin around to the other side and loosen that vacuum hose up. You see it? This one right there.
Yep.
Got it?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Bolts holding it on.
Yeah. This one right there.
Yep. Let me go grab a ratchet for you.
Okay.
And it's actually quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And get the other bolt. Now, one thing I didn't mention, Trevor, normally when you do this, you're going to want to go ahead and really pay attention to what vacuum lines went where on the carburetor. I didn't really say anything because we have the benefit of this video where we can go back and just watch the video and see where they go. Mm-hmm. But if you weren't filming this with the video, you'd probably want to either mark them with some like masking tape or take pictures so you know where they go, because it is very important that they go back onto the same vacuum ports, because not all vacuum ports are equal. All right? We did skip that step, but we'll be okay. I knew that we were going to skip it.
All right.
You got that other bolt out?
Yep.
Go ahead and grab the carburetor and give it a little bit of a shake. I'll take the ratchet and the extension and the bolt.
Hold on.
I'll take it in pieces. It's okay. And the bolt. And give the carburetor a little bit of a shake. There you go. Take her off. And that's what I was afraid of. Nope. Oh, yeah. So the carburetor's off. So we're going to take that to the bench. We're going to get that all just taken apart, cleaned up, and rebuilt. But before we go ahead and abandon the car for now, let's go ahead and we need to cover those intake ports, because that gets down into the engine. We don't want to let anything into the engine because that's really, really bad. So we'll grab some tape, we'll clean those up, cover them up, and then we can go ahead and get set up on the bench. And that's our next area to focus on.
Okay.
All right, what do you think of that thing?
It looks very interesting.
Well,
it looks like very inky.
Looks very what?
Inky.
Inky?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like carbon soot, that black stuff. Yep. We're going to clean all that off. This thing will be perfectly clean when we're done. It's super easy. Right? So let's go sit that on the bench and we'll get this all masked up.
Okay.
So anytime you have an engine open like this to the intake ports, seal it off.
Okay.
Because if you drop a socket down there, or like the bolt that you're using to take the carburetor off, it really sucks.
Has it happened to you?
Huh?
Has it happened to you?
Yep, it has. You have to get it out before you can start the engine. Then you don't ruin the engine, but sometimes you can spend a lot of time trying to fish it out. And I can tell you, when I was doing this in dealerships, when you're getting paid flat rate, last thing you want to do is spend time fishing a bolt out, because you're just losing money at that point. So you mask it up, and you don't have to worry about a bolt. Or, you know what else could happen?
What?
A rat could crawl in there. It's like, you never know, a master splinter might decide that's his new home. We don't want him living in there, and now we got him blocked off. All right?
All right.
All right, Trevor, carburetor's off the car. But before we dig into this, from what we've messed with so far, do you think you know what the carburetor does?
I have no idea.
No idea. Well, you should know that fuel goes into it, right?
Yes, I know that.
So the carburetor controls the speed of the engine. So it's known as the throttle. And it does it by regulating how much air goes into the engine. And this also puts the proper amount of fuel into the engine.
Oh.
So if we're putting too much fuel into your engine, your spark plugs are going to foul out and turn black like they have. And that could happen for various reasons. It could be some adjustments. It could be some plug ports. Who knows? But we're going to take it all the way apart. We're going to clean it all up, get it cleaned, replace all the gaskets and seals, and put it back together.
Okay.
We could probably go ahead and start just by yarding this screw out, and this whole bracket should come off. There you go. So.
Whoa.
There you go. So we'll set that over there. So this is our choke flap, and what the choke does is it restricts the amount of air that goes into the engine. which then creates more fuel going into the engine, which when engines are cold, they want more fuel than they normally do when they're warm. So if the choke stays shut when the engine's warm, it's going to run too rich. There's a vacuum hose here. Pop that off. I think this arm is going to stay on that arm.
So you want me to like this?
Yeah, take that screw out. There we go. All right, so we'll set this aside and put our screws over there. Ooh, see that little pin?
You want me to go like...
Yep. Pop that pin out. There you go. Good job.
So do we need the big one for like right there?
You take that out.
Where'd it go?
It's stuck right there. So I think we can take these Phillips screws and take the top half of this carburetor off. Yep. There you go. So there's parts of the carburetor, which we'll see once we get further into it, that are called venturis. And as what happens is when you take air and it has a big area to flow through, and then you make it flow through a small area, it speeds up. And those venturis, the air goes through that one section and it speeds up, and that sucks fuel or siphons fuel out of the carburetor into the engine. So the faster that the engine spins and the more air that's going into the engine, the more fuel it sucks in. So a carburetor, I always joke that all it is a metered or a calibrated fuel leak, and that's how it runs. So like a modern car runs off fuel injection, where it has a computer and electronic solenoids that spray the exact amount of fuel in the engine at the right time. Remember on the intake manifold there's two holes where the air went into? That's called a 2-barrel. A lot of V8s have 4 barrels. Yeah, you really push down. You don't want to strip. Hold on. Yeah, you don't want to strip that screw. They have 4 barrels where they have 4 holes, meaning they let a lot more air and fuel into the engine, so they make more power, but the gas mileage is a lot worse. Last one, we think.
Yeah.
You might, so a trick to that, I think you got them all. The getting the top off. So there's a gasket in there, and that's what's kind of holding on there, so you can
Well, aren't we supposed to take
gently
this apart
knock
too?
it. That's going to come off with it. Remember, we unhooked it down there. But if you gently knock it, see, and then you can lift it off. Ooh, I'll flip that over. Look at all that. This is called your float, and this controls the needle and seat. Fuel comes in right here.
Yeah.
And then it hangs like this in the car. And then when it's down like this, the needle and seat are open, so fuel can come in and flow in and fill this up, and that's called the float bowl. Okay? And then when the float bowl gets full, because you don't want it too full, this lifts up right there, and you can see that right there. You see that?
Yeah.
That closes the needle and stops fuel from coming in. And then fuel drops, and then that opens up. So this right here looks like it's your accelerator pump. When you first open the throttle, there's a lot of air that goes into the engine and not enough fuel. So this is like a small little pump that will squirt extra fuel in to make the car run pretty good. Now, look in your float bowl. Do you see all that sediment and junk moving around in there? That's bad. That can go in, and the rest of the carburetor works with a bunch of little precise small passages. That could plug those, and that will cause it to either run lean or rich or have drivability problems. These are your venturis. That speeds the air up on the inside, and that's what draws the fuel down into the engine. And if you look underneath there, those are your throttle blades. So you can see right there, there's your 1 and 2 barrels. So a 4-barrel has 4 of those. Now, these right here are your idle mixture screws. And these are what we adjust the control how much fuel goes into the engine at idle, which is probably why your spark plugs are fouling out. Now, we kind of want to know where these were before we take them out, and they unscrew counterclockwise to go out. But the base point that you always go with these is how many turns from all the way in. So before we take them out, we're going to screw these in all the way and count the turns. And we'll take note of how many turns. So see my screwdriver's flat right here? Let's count how many revolutions I get out of the screwdriver. It's 1.5. Okay? This one, 1. And both at 1.5. So when we put this carburetor back together, We're going to screw those all the way in like they are right now, and then screw them back out to 1.5 because that's where they were now. And then we'll get the car running, and then we're going to adjust these while the engine's running to get it to run the best we can.
All right.
So go ahead and take those two out now. See how it has that tapered fit? As you screw this in or out, it goes into a hole, and that changes how much air or fuel can flow through that circuit. And that's how you adjust the carburetor. I think you can take it out by hand. All right, let's take our boosters out. Those 3 screws there. See, look, on the booster, simply just slides out. Now these are called emulsion tubes. And as what they do is they actually mix some of the fuel and air together before it goes into the engine. But all these holes here, that's what determines how much fuel gets into the engine and how well your car runs. So they're very precise, and they need to be the exact right size. So that's what I was saying. If a piece of dirt gets in here and plugs that, that's bad. That's why we're taking this apart, cleaning it, because there shouldn't even be this much dirt on the inside. Okay? So on some carburetors, you can take these out and replace these to tune it to see how they change the way the car runs. This one, not so much. There's actually, if you look there, down there, see those 2 little round brass guys?
Yeah.
Those are the main jets. And those control how much fuel goes into the engine, and these are adjustable. And right there, see there's a hole in the center, and there should be a number on it. This looks like, what, 65? So if your engine wants more or less fuel, we can change those. And we'll look at a chart.
Either it's 65 or 56.
Yeah. What we'll do is we'll look at a chart and see what this is supposed to have in it and make sure these are the right ones. Okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead and pop those out, and we'll take that throttle plate off. Whoa! Then pop this plate off. And take your 3 screws out. That's your throttle right there. Okay?
Alright.
So that's what controls how much air goes in the engine. This upper part controls how much fuel goes into the engine. That's taken apart all the way. Here we go. That one is tricky. Because, if you look, that one was tricky because it had that little spring pin in the center pushing up. Now, I think our main bowl is completely apart. So we can set that aside. I think for the float, you can just pull that pin out. We're not going to use that. That goes to that pile. Now, here's the needle and seat. You should be able to pull that. Yep, slides right out. Look at the end of it. That's what turns your fuel on and off coming into the carburetor. If you look to get our accelerator pump off, I think if you take this screw off, you can slide this arm out and it all will come apart. Okay, can you slide that out? Nice. Watch out, Trevor. Please leave all this here for a second so I can get my mind around what's going on. What are you doing?
I'm in timeout.
Alright. So, to clean all the parts for your carburetor, we have carburetor clean here. So we have a bigger bucket, and we're going to go ahead and pour this carb cleaner in this big bucket, and you'll actually see, though, pop those clips off. Alright.
Whoa, what's this?
This is a parts tray.
Oh.
See, you're supposed to put the parts in, then dip it in the bucket, but we can't fit that in there. So I have this bigger bucket, because we're just going to set the bigger parts in here now. Doop. Boop. We want them as low as possible, and then we're just going to fill this. Now this carb cleaner has been used several times, so we'll have to let it sit in here for a while to make sure it does a good job cleaning. Now, with this little basket, that's where we take all these pieces, and we just throw them in this basket.
Oh.
And it's going to clean them all up. All right. Those need to be completely covered in fluid. All right?
So we can dump that in there?
Well, look at your other carburetor pieces in this other bucket. You're a little low on fluid. So I'm hoping that we can pour just enough in here to cover those parts up, the rest in here to cover the rest of these parts up.
Okay. Kind of leaking.
Yeah. Ooh, oh.
I'll put my hand in it.
I would not recommend that.
Yeah, I was gonna push it in, but
I'll take care of that. That's all we got for tonight. Let's clean up the rest of our tools, clean the shop up, and back at it tomorrow.
okay.
All right, so Trevor and I clearly have pulled everything out of the carb cleaner, took it out, cleaned it out in the sink, and one other thing I do is once I clean everything with a carb cleaner, I actually take a coolant bucket, I cut it open like so, and you can see that I cleaned everything out with carb cleaner, aerosol carb cleaner. So we've already gone through and done all that, and we've blown everything out, cleaned out all the passages, inspected everything, and everything should be good to go back together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we also did go through our carburetor rebuild kit, and we sorted through the gaskets that match our existing gaskets, made sure we had the right needle seat. So I do know the first thing that we need to do is we need to put that ball right here in that hole.
Okay.
Right there, see?
Mm-hmm.
And then our new spring, this is all stuff I have off memory, will go in that hole.
Mm-hmm.
And the center of that T goes down in that spring.
Okay.
And it kind of just wedges in there.
Oh.
So you can just press it down.
Mm-hmm.
These two jets, they go in those holes right there.
Okay.
Now,
This thing goes in
oh,
right there.
it does. That's good. Do you remember what it's called? You remember where it went?
No, I don't remember what it's called.
That's our power valve. Do you want to know what it does?
No. I do want to know, but I don't know.
That enriches the air-fuel mixture when you're on like heavy load.
Oh.
When you're on heavy load, meaning high RPM, a lot of throttle, there's no vacuum in the engine. When there's no vacuum, this right here, this rod, it falls down, and then when it falls down, it pushes that pin you're playing with. And when that pin gets pushed down, it opens up and allows extra fuel into the carburetor.
Mm.
I did test this power valve because it needs to seal and not allow anything to flow through until it's pushed open. And all I did is I put it in my mouth. And I can suck on it, and then when I push this open, air will go through. And then when I don't, air stops.
Oh.
Pretty simple way to test it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to test it?
No.
Why?
I don't even want to touch it. You can put that in.
You gotta put it in.
No, I'm not putting that in.
There we go. The next thing we need to put in is our Venturi cluster. Our base on.
No, I had it right. I feel a lot of back and forth. Oh.
You got it there?
There would have been a lot of back and forth if I didn't realize that. Got it.
We'll put in our idle mixture needles. Do you see on the tip of that needle how there's like a ridge?
Mm-hmm.
That's bad. Both of them have it.
Oh.
There's like a seat in here, and so these are made out of like a soft brass. Mm-hmm. And when someone was adjusting the carburetor, they screwed them in too tight, and it made that mark. And it's going to make it hard to get your idle mixture set with that.
Oh.
They kind of need to be replaced, but I have an idea. If my idea works, we don't have to replace them. If my idea doesn't work, we will. So we kind of have nothing to lose. So that taper is very important. But the depth of where that taper is on the screw is not that big of a deal.
Mm.
So if I put this in here, it needs to be symmetrical all the way around. If you look, that one's moving a little bit, but I'm hoping that I can put this file on it.
Mm-hmm.
And get that step off of there. Like I said, if this doesn't work, we'll just order new ones. So we got nothing to
So
lose.
put these ones in and then order new ones.
We'll do this, put these in, and if they work, cool, we save some money. If this doesn't work, we'll just order new ones. We can put these back. You can take these out when the carburetor's on the car.
What grit is that?
That is 220 grit.
Okay. Whoa.
So cleaned up pretty good. Shortened it a little bit, but there's no step on it now. But I think that's going to work.
Okay.
And then it did make the tip a little bit pointier, so it basically made it a little longer. So we can kind of just bring it back to the same diameter tip it had. Because we essentially it's kind of like sharpening a pencil. We made it shorter.
Shorter and sharper.
Yep, but we don't want it to be sharper. We want it to match the other one. It's pretty close. All right, get this other one knocked out. Voila. We'll zip these up here so hopefully the people can see it. They're nice little idle mixture screws. I get a lot of satisfaction out of fixing things versus replacing it. Anyone could just buy a new one, but it's cooler to fix it. All right,
Yeah.
they go in this hole right here. Now, do you remember that we counted how many threads from all the way in they were?
It was, I want to say 3, but I feel like it wasn't 3.
It was not 3. It was 1.5. Now, when you screw these in all the way till they stop, but be very gentle once they stop. You can use a screwdriver. Because if you go hard when they stop, that's what puts that ridge in them. So just go very, very gentle. It'll take a while before you get there. That's 1.
And then a half, like that?
Yep. There you go. All right. So that's what we have to do. And then once the car is running, we'll adjust those further.
Okay.
This is our seat for our needle. And then that sits right there. So can you put that in?
Yeah.
You get it?
I think so.
Okay.
So like when this goes down when there's extra fuel?
No. When there's vacuum, this gets sucked up.
Oh.
So like an idle.
Okay.
And then if you're going up a hill or you're going full throttle, there's no vacuum, which then causes this to fall down. Because this sits like this. So then there's vacuum, and then there's no vacuum. That falls down. And once it falls down, it's sitting right above that, and it pushes on that, which opens that valve. And then extra fuel goes in.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay?
Okay.
So we need to put the gasket on before we put everything else on. Oops.
Oh, wrong way.
Yep. We need to check our float adjustment.
Okay.
This is where your fuel comes in from your fuel line. And right now it would be open. So then that needle is falling down out of the seat. So fuel can come in through that gap and it fills up this chamber.
Yeah.
But you don't want to fill too much fuel up because then it could leak out everywhere. So when it gets full, the float, because it floats, goes up and see it closes that needle.
Yeah.
And that shuts fuel flow off. Until the engine uses a little bit of fuel, then it falls down, then opens back up. Bend these tabs on the float so that way its height when it's shut is at the right height and low is at the right height. And that's going to make sure that we always have the right amount of fuel in the carburetor. 72 Chevrolet. Float level figure 1, 23:30 seconds. Float level 2, 1 and 9:30 seconds. So we go here, figure 1, and there's that ridge right there. See that line
Yeah.
on the float? So figure 1 is with the float, and with the float down like this, and the gasket needs to be on because that gasket adds thickness. And it needs to be 23:30 seconds, like so. Okay.
Okay.
So now is what we're gonna do, Trevor, is we're gonna hold this right there, and see that this float should be right there.
Okay.
so that floats a little high. Do you know what that means?
That there could be too much in it.
Exactly. Good job. That's going to let too much fuel in the carburetor. So to adjust that, we need to bend this tab right here, where that clip goes on for the needle. But we don't want to push down on the needle when it's closed, because that can damage the needle. So we'll just snake a little screwdriver in there and make a little tweak. Almost. What do you think?
Looks good.
Looks good. All right, now we got to do the other measurement.
Which would be when it's down.
When it's down. What was our spec for that? 1 and 9/32. So now, when we hold it down, Trevor.
Well, it looks pretty good.
Looks good?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So you're going to use this tool and push that on over there, okay? And it goes, yep, on the inside. There you go. There you go.
Got it.
Nice. We'll do our
Air filter.
That's our fuel filter. Now that spring goes on the other side. Yep. No. You had it right. Nope. Hold on. Put the filter in. Look, there's a hole on one side, and that gasket that goes on the inlet because this is where the fuel goes in. That spring goes on the back side. That pushes that against that, like that. See?
Okay, so then that goes. The spring goes in there.
Yep. But you need a gasket. You're gonna have to like hold this sideways and then slide this in. Okay. Snug that with a wrench. I think we're safe to put the top half onto the carburetor, and then we have to figure out all the linkages. Slide that on.
So one of them goes here.
This is the long one right here.
Got it.
Got them?
Yeah.
That snaps on like so. Right here, those two.
Oh, those guys.
Yep. This is a device that's for your choke,
What?
and this is a vacuum diaphragm. So we can use a vacuum pump to test it, or we can do the same thing that we did with the power valve. Do you want to test it?
No. Oh.
It works.
Oh.
If that was bad, it wouldn't work. All right. I need someone to install it.
Have fun. Hey, go ahead and install it.
You need to install this.
Ew, no.
Why?
Oh, and he
Oh,
spring moved.
you wimp.
Oh, gross. Oh, my carburetor is filled with saliva. The spring moved.
Yeah, it worked.
Gross. We should have used a vacuum to test it.
Okay. See? And that's our choke. That's good. You don't get to play with it that much if you're not going to test it.
Dude.
That's the rules, man. If you test it, you can play with it more. But you didn't want to test it. 2 linkages, 1 cam, and 1 screw, which was for that other linkage.
Okay.
It goes in there, and then it goes right here.
Oh,
Yep. Because this is your accelerator pump.
Oh.
So that's when you're accelerating, it pushes your accelerator pump. But if you're just cruising and holding your throttle open, your accelerator pump stays there. It's not doing anything. So the last one, Trevor, is this bracket. And actually, see this arm right there? I do think that that's going to go. Yeah, see right here? That's the direction it goes, because this arm hits this screw, and that's our idle adjustment.
Oh.
So that tells me which way this goes. There we go, see? Everything's working in unison. Now do you see the throttle's open more? When the choke's open versus when the choke's closed? That's what that does.
Oh. Got it.
And then now you got your throttle return springs, your bolts, and your gaskets.
And then we're done.
You've rebuilt it.
Carburetor. Yeah.
You ready to put it back on?
Yeah.
All right. Take your tape off.
There you go.
It's not going to run very good like that.
We got like a little.
Hey man, Here's your gasket.
Ugh.
You sure that... Oh, how did you know it went that way?
Because it wasn't right.
What do you mean it wasn't right?
It like, look at it. It's not like all lined up. It's all wrong.
Did you see on it that it tells you...
Oh.
What does it say?
Or fast front. Or front.
Top, front.
Okay.
You see why? See this hole?
Mm-hmm.
This hole goes to this port. It goes to this vent line.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to go on that way, so that way they all line up.
Oh.
Do you remember which way the carburetor goes on?
Mm-mm.
No?
Nope.
Okay. It goes on like that.
Okay.
And then it was held on with the 2 bolts. I'll get them started. Right there. Right there. Alright. Leave that loose until you get the other one in. And then we'll gently snug them, okay? That'll help it sit level and flat without warping it. You might need to come around over here so you can see what you're doing.
Okay.
Hey, see why you couldn't get the ratchet on it?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're on the wrong corner. Is it tight?
Yeah.
Okay, well once it's snug it, and then snug this side a little bit, and then bounce back and forth between the 2 sides, okay?
Okay. I think I got both of them.
What's that?
I think I got them.
Let's give it a feel. Yep, you did good. Okay, so we need to hook up our linkages and our vacuum lines.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, you need to hook them up, but I'll show you which ones go where. Okay?
Okay.
This connector goes on right here, and that's for the fast idle valve. So you just slide that on. If you look at the end of it, here, look. You see where the wire slides in there?
Just like that?
It should go on a little further. Yep. Okay. Now, this is your throttle cable.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that actually second. This is your kick down cable for your transmission, and it goes on right there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a clip that goes on there. Do you remember taking those clips off?
No.
You don't? I'll go grab them. They're real tricky. Remember these little guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think this one actually was the one that went on right here. Although it seems a little big.
Oh.
So that, see, that slides. This slides, and is what this does is it tells the transmission when the downshift when you press the gas all the way down. So if you like go to pass somebody on the road, and you're cruising, and then you push the gas really far, and you want to go past them, and it tells the transmission, oh, he wants to hurry up and go. And then it downshifts from like 3rd gear to the 2nd gear, or 2nd gear to the 1st gear. Now we can put the throttle on. That just snaps onto that ball. Nice. All right. Now this is a lever for our choke, and it has another one of those clips that I'll take care of.
Okay.
Now, you spin around over here, this vacuum line, it connects to this port. You have to come see where I'm pointing. You see?
Yeah, I see the little...
Right there, and then it goes to this diaphragm on your distributor right there, okay?
Okay.
Yep. All right, now, remember this broke when we were working on the car?
Nope.
You don't? When we took the carburetor off? See how this one's falling apart?
Mm-hmm. Did you order a new one?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Can you hand me that hose over there?
Yeah.
We're gonna use this. Rather than buy a new one, we'll just use this hose. And if I can slide it up on there, and it's just a vacuum hose, and this goes down to the transmission for the shift modulator. And the transmission needs to know how much vacuum's in the engine, and that kind of tells it how much load the engine is. So it kind of gives the transmission a good idea of like if you're going up a hill or down a hill.
Oh.
So that's easy. That's fixed. That's all done. I think there's only one more thing left to hook up.
What's that?
Fuel line.
Okay. Oh. Oh, we can use this, right?
We cannot use that. That's vacuum hose, not fuel hose.
Oh.
Ooh, and we gotta do our throttle return springs also before we do the fuel line.
Oh. Okay.
So we're gonna do these real quick, but after we do these springs, we need to use new fuel hose and a new fuel filter that connect from here to here.
Okay.
And then we actually need to go down to the fuel pump and the fuel line. Remember when we cleaned that out when we did the gas tank? We need to run a new fuel line from the hard line down there to the fuel pump. And then once we have that done, you have a new fuel tank, a new pickup, all new fuel lines back at the fuel tank, rubber lines, all new rubber lines up here in the engine bay, and a rebuilt carburetor. You'll be set.
Yeah.
Right?
Can I take it for a drive?
Well, no, we need to finish rebuilding your brakes.
Oh.
All right, sir. Is what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna conquer and divide.
What do you mean by that?
I am gonna work on that fuel line down there from the hard line on the car to the fuel pump.
You want me to work right there?
You're gonna work up there.
Okay.
This is the fuel filter. It's gonna go like so. But we can take these extras that we had from when we did the fuel tank.
Okay.
And you can put them on, and then get them clamped. Just clamp it here.
Like extra long though.
We'll cut it to fit. So you'll just put this hose on and this hose on, and then we'll cut it to fit. So get those hoses on, clamp it, and then you're gonna need the screwdriver and see if you can get that old hose off. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna dive down and deal with the other one.
Okay. Just like down to here.
No, we need to open that clamp up more.
Okay.
You're gonna want it just like the other lines we did. Now, I just got this hose off. You see how stiff it is? Feel how stiff and hard it is versus this new line. Try to squeeze both ends. Like.
Oh, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go get the other stuff and I'll show you the new stuff.
Okay.
Perfect. Here, let's just compare this fuel hose now. Bend both ends of that. Here, I'll hold these for you.
Oh. Wow.
That's why we're replacing it.
Oh. You okay?
Actually, you know what I should do?
I think I got this one.
Think it's good? Alright, I'm just getting this other fuel line off. There we go. That clamp fell down. Right there. I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Look at the two clamps. They're even on the wrong direction. Oh, no. Gotta fix it. Did you do that on purpose? Did you? No. No. At least you got the markings on the line matched up. You probably didn't notice that, or else you would have purposely put that off too.
Yeah. I almost put one of them upside down.
Haven't I taught you anything? Solid move. Solid move. Alright, we gotta trim this to fit.
Okay.
Okay, tighten your clamps. Make sure they're lined, or else I'll make you redo it. No hackery here today. While you're doing that, I guess I'll plop the battery in.
Got it.
Will you hold this down for me so I can
Yeah.
get that in?
Can you put all that in there?
Yeah, it's only 5 gallons. I think your tank is 17 gallons.
Oh.
So take just a little over 3 of these to fill it all the way up. But 5 gallons would be good enough to get it running and let it run around a little bit. And then once we get it so it's drivable and the brakes are fixed, we can drive it to the gas station and fill it up. All right, put your gas cap on. All right, sir. We got gas in the tank. All the lines are hooked up. Carburetor's rebuilt. Everything's hooked up.
Fuel.
Well, we need fuel because we need to siphon fuel from the fuel tank through the line because there's no fuel in there right now. And it's not going to run because there's no fuel in the carburetor either. So we're going to fill the carburetor up through the vent, and that should get it running long enough that hopefully it'll suck fuel from the fuel tank. It might stall and die a couple times, but that's okay. We'll just restart it.
Yeah. Do you want me to get in the driver's side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
What do I do again?
Crank, actually pump the gas pedal a bunch of times.
What?
Pump the gas pedal, so push the gas pedal all the way to the floor, then lift up. Again. 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 Okay, now put the key in and crank. All right, crank it again. It sucked fuel up from the fuel tank. We forgot one vacuum hose.
We did?
Yeah, that's why it wasn't running very good.
Oh.
Let me grab a cap. Man, your valve cover gaskets they're done for. All right, go ahead and fire it back up again. Okay, you can hop out. See all this smoke? Your valve. This is your valve cover. There's a gasket, and it lets oil leak onto your exhaust. I noticed that your exhaust is really wet and shiny. That's why it's smoking. That oil's burning as the exhaust gets hot. So we're probably going to need to put a set of valve cover gaskets on it sooner than later. They're not expensive at all, and they're usually pretty easy. That side will be a little tricky because you have AC. But your first carburetor rebuild, and listen to that thing run.
Sounds good.
It does sound good. We still need to do fine tuning and adjusting, but we're not going to do that. That's not today's project. All right?
Okay.
Oh man, that is bad.
What? What?
The smoke.
Oh yeah.
You had a little bit. Look, you had a little bit of a leak right here. A little bit of fuel is leaking out of this fitting. It wasn't very tight, so I'm just snugging it back up. I couldn't get it very tight when the carburetor was out of the car.
Oh.
You're man. Those. We're gonna do valve cover gaskets here pretty soon. Bad. Woo! Well, sir, you successfully rebuilt your first carburetor. Good job. It wasn't too bad now, was it? No?
Yeah.
You don't like the smoke? Does it stink? Yeah, we'll fix it. It runs good. Might be able to make it run a little better. We'll have to hook a vacuum gauge up and start adjusting those needles. Remember the ones we filed?
Yeah.
The front of the carburetor? But we're going to hold off and do that until after we give the car a rest of finish the rest of the tune-up on the car. There's no point in doing that right now. Okay?
Okay.
Well, Trevor, your first carburetor rebuild went a lot better than my first carburetor rebuild.
What happened on yours?
Well, I did not properly assemble it, and I did not get the accelerator pump hooked up. And I put it back together, and I needed my truck to drive around, so I ended up driving around for about a week with no accelerator pump. So if I gave it a lot of gas, the engine would stall.
So you feathered it?
So I feathered the throttle, cruised around, limped around. It stalled a lot. And I finally took it apart and fixed it. But yours, she's dialed.
Yeah.
So it's running good. I'm actually quite shocked at how bad this valve cover is leaking because of the smoke we had. So we're going to have to address that. We do need to fine-tune the carburetor with the idle mixture, but I'm going to hold off because we have more in store for the ignition system, and I'm going to do that after the ignition system is all taken care of, all right?
Yep.
So I think now, for you guys at home, that's going to conclude this video. The next video, we're going to go ahead and finish up the brakes, which we're partially through right now. So we had no brakes last time we drove the car. We're addressing that now. We're going to get that put back together on the next video. Kind of a brake overhaul, pseudo brake overhaul.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think once we get that done, we can dive into the ignition. It's springtime here, so we got to get this thing ready and as road worthy as we can, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Trevor. Outro's on you.
Thank you for taking time to watch today's video, and hope you had a good time watching. See you in the next video.